Just don't say anything to me. Don't you say another fucking word. You are fucking ruining this episode. Welcome back to Day Rates, the show we talk about design
and money.
It's time for Family Fun Design Corner for families.
I guess we're using it.
We're talking about starting a studio today, so I figured we'd do a family fun design corner that relates to that. It's Brian Edward Miller. When I first started the business, I was just doing like random marketing and all kinds of crap, and I came across Brian Edward Miller's work, and it was so good. It's all illustrative, and I thought, I really want to do some stuff like that, and that's what kind of put me down the path of doing more of my own illustrations and considering animation and everything. So that's why Brian Edward Miller. But yeah, he does like really, it's kind of like a mix of vector and Photoshop and kind of textured stuff, but he does these retro looking illustrations. Looks like an old poster or something like that. And I just really like it. It's really good.
Yeah, I feel like this sort of stuff has stuck with you the whole way, because I always notice you're doing some kind of like Western scene or something like that. It's very cool.
Like it. It's very kind of nice and like moody. It's more, he does like a lot of landscape stuff or whatever it is, but I like the kind of, it's like a Western vibe to it.
Yeah,
wilderness.
Very American too.
Yeah.
Does he have like, have you seen how he has his process or anything? Like,
yes, he's got on his website and stuff like that, I think. But yeah, it's pretty straightforward. It's like an initial sketch, blocking out the main shapes and everything like that, and then detailing and texturing at the top. So it's pretty straightforward. But yeah, I think he's really good with kind of color and tone. Like the pieces all have that nice nostalgic feel to it.
Yeah.
He's really good at that. Anyway, I thought about him this week because My Fonts has their Fontacular or something, which is some sale they have. And I noticed all the illustrations were his. And I'm like, that guy. That's why I started doing this stuff. So anyway, I never make any stuff like this myself, really. But I still like looking at it. So give it a gaze.
It seems like a gun on the tools too. With texturing and that sort of stuff. That's what I find really difficult.
I mean, when you look at these things, they're really layered. Like there's lots of layers of front rocks and trees. The shapes are actually pretty simple. I remember when I used to look at this, I'd think, oh my God, that's so complex. How do you do it? Now over time, I can see how you can construct the shapes quite easily. But yeah, it's bringing it all together. He's really good at that. And yeah, those final textures, like he's obviously puts a lot of love into where they go and like angles and all that good stuff. So it's pretty nuts.
Well, yep, check him out. Yeah. Brian Edward Miller. We'll leave him linked below.
Yeah, so today we're talking about starting a studio because it might not look like it, but this is a studio.
Yeah, we've got a plant. It's dying.
Anyway, leave your comments down below. How can we save this plant? If we get to 20 subscribers, we'll give this plant the nutrients it needs. So that's good.
But yeah, Miles, starting a studio, this is probably your forte because I haven't done that.
Well, I guess in a way you kind of have because this has gone through some iterations, and in the past year it definitely has restarted, I think. But the original way I set it up was probably a bad way to set it up, but I've learned a lot along the way. I had a non-design job beforehand, and I just wanted to start a business more than a design studio specifically. So mine is quite organic. I sold a really wide range of goods, and then over time thought, all right, I actually only love the design portion of making these. Like my first client was a plumber in the Sutherland Shire, so it's not super exciting beginnings. He said, I need these email campaigns sent out, and occasionally he'd have like a flyer or something that he'd doing, and I'm like, I love making this flyer, like make more flyers, I guess. And then found out like, all right, that's okay, do some PowerPoints and all that kind of boring stuff, and then eventually just through clients expanding, do a few videos. The first one was actually for my dad, and I was just like, all right, if you can give me like $500, I'll spend 2 weeks on this thing. And not enough to live off, but that's still a great start to have like a project that you get paid something for and get to try it out. And I just stuck in After Effects for ages, and here we are. It's been building ever since. But
I can't believe you went into video, man. That's like a big step.
Yeah, I was just like, because I think now's a great time to start a studio because everyone bitches on Adobe for like, oh fuck, it's so expensive, you have to pay it like monthly. But it used to be like you pay $1,500 and get 3 of their programs.
Yeah.
Whereas now and you still have to buy the new versions as they update it. You didn't get like sweet deals necessarily. You get upgrade price or something. But
you just get it in a box.
Yeah, exactly. The thing is, I was working in Illustrator and I saw, what's this After Effects program that's my description, and then looked up that and kind of found the industry just organically. And you can just tinker with it. It's no extra cost to you. So it was a great time to do it. But yeah, I think I started from like falling into design as well as building a studio at the same time. So we've gone through a lot of iterations, and then the past year we actually kind of rebooted everything. And I feel like there's been a lot of lessons learned just from that. Like, how do you want to set up your brand? How do you want to look? Who do you want to go talk to? Kind of work are you chasing? Like all this kind of stuff. So I feel like that's the really interesting side of the process.
Yeah.
And if you're watching this, you're probably in motion graphics or you're probably one of the 15 people that we know directly.
2 of them are me.
Yeah, but you might be at a job and considering doing freelancing or something like that. And that's a good gateway drug to having your own studio, I think.
Yeah. I guess freelancing is basically being like your own studio, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never really did that. I mean, I did like some small freelance shit, but that was more like nightclub posters for cash. Yeah. I wouldn't come on. I have an ABN, but like, I don't think I've ever really used it.
Yeah. But yeah, freelancing is you're a business owner, basically.
Yeah, pretty much.
So step one is maybe getting to that freelancer mindset. And I had an option of either I could just be a freelancer, just selling, at the time, just marketing and design services, or I could say I'm a business and put a brand name over it. And I opted for the second because I just thought, well, if I'm going to do this the next 5 years, and it's gone past that, then it's probably easier to be a company because I can hire other people in. People might let me through doors that they wouldn't if it's just like, people don't need a freelancer. True. They want a studio to go handle something for them. So putting that label around yourself can get you through extra doors and bigger budgets of things. Mm-hmm. And these days you could be a studio of one person and hire freelancers. It's just whether you're willing to actually hire freelancers and build things up as you need to deliver projects.
So what exactly is the process there? Is it you're applying for like an ABN as a business or
yes.
a freelancer? Like what's...
So if you're in Australia, there's 2 ways you can do it. If you're a freelancer, you just need an ABN. Really straightforward. Takes all of 5 minutes, and all you have to do there is just set yourself up. You can pay your tax quarterly or whatever you want to do. It's the same process. Mm-hmm. If you're a company, then you just need to set up an ACN. And there's actually other companies online that just do that for you. You can just go online and say, business setup, and the companies that charge you a small fee and they handle the whole process. They give you like the allocation of shares and everything, which if you're a one person operation, it'll just be 100 shares of $1 to you kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then you need to set up kind of separate bank accounts and do stuff like that. So there's a bit of admin involved with it, but it's not major. You can go use one of those companies to set up the ACN, go to a bank and get them to open the accounts for you. Mm-hmm. And then you can go through the business portal to declare your income on a quarterly basis, just like you're a sole trader. Mm-hmm. And then the fourth thing is I got an accounting software just to help me actually manage my invoices and stuff. But once you've done those 4 things, you actually have a business. Probably get some insurance too, in one way or another. But that's kind of everything you need. Like, you're good to go.
It still seems scary to me. I remember when you hired me, I was just like, I was thinking about you being like, at what point were you like, I can afford to hire someone? That's so scary to me.
Yeah. You're
responsible for this person's income now.
Yeah,
like,
true.
At what point were you like, now I can afford to do this? Or...
Yeah, I think, so I had a mate that was doing casual work first. So that was like a little gateway drug to that, because it wasn't, I was still committed to a certain number of days to give him, but there's no paper agreement to that. It was just casual work technically.
Yeah.
So in that instance, there's no legal requirement for you to keep it going. You were a difference because it was like, this could be permanent part-time, working towards full-time. Mm-hmm. And that was scary too, yeah, because I didn't have loads of money in the bank. I didn't realize at the time, but like I said, maybe had like 15 grand in the bank, which is not very much.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Like, at what point are you like, I can do this now? Or
yeah, I think I shot too early, but it worked out really good. I think there's
not the first time.
Yeah, straight away. It was a blessing and a curse. If I was talking to a young business owner now, I'd say hold off hiring someone until you actually have more work than you can handle.
Yeah,
because that way at least there's enough coming in. If you have a bit of savings, it's worth having enough savings that you can maintain that person's wage for at least 3 months if they're your first employee. Okay. Because you don't want to fuck someone over by hiring them and then having to fire them a week later. You want some buffer so that even if no business came in, you'd be able to do that. Mm-hmm. And that way, if things get quiet, that person should help you market and find the new business. So that's basically when I brought you in. We didn't have that much money coming in at that point, but I thought, all right, if I get someone to help me with these things, I'll have more energy to go and chase the sales.
Yeah, okay.
And that is what happened.
I guess that makes sense.
But yeah, that's the other thing about owning a studio is you have to be a salesperson, basically. Yeah. I think it's all good to be a great designer, but if you're not out there marketing yourself constantly, there's just no point. Like, no one's going to find your work. No one's going to go talk to you. So that's the messy reality of it, is that the best motion graphics people are typically not good salespeople. They're better behind the scenes. Like, they're creative people and they don't want to do that work. That's why they never got into it. I came from a sales background, so
that was definitely a benefit.
Yeah. So for me, I was like, I don't mind talking to people. I don't love it still. I'd rather be doing the work, but it doesn't stress me out to go and do it. Yeah. So I'm happy to commit time to it. But yeah,
I think I might, like, if I was to start a studio, which I don't think I would, because that's just super scary to me. But I think I could do that. I think I come from a family that is very loud and
Oh, yeah.
outspoken. And I mean, my brother and my father are both salesmen.
Yeah.
I think I could do it. But then what I would worry about is like, just becoming like, I don't know. I could say a company, but
Yeah.
those people that get way too into that and then just kind of lose their creative spark, or like don't really get on the tools anymore or anything like that.
Yeah.
I feel like that would happen to me. I get way too into it, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but I like my creativity and I like being on the tools and stuff. So I don't think that would be necessarily for me. Even as a freelancer, like I've never really done that properly, like to a point where I was like fully supporting myself just on that. But yeah, that kind of scares me as well, because it's kind of the same. You still kind of have to be like a bit of a business and like, put yourself out there in that way and market yourself, and just, taxes and all this fucking shit. The taxes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you become, if you're a creative person and you get into it to run your own business, then you do end up becoming also an accountant, a salesperson, and a marketing person.
Which isn't a bad thing.
No, and to be honest, if you're a creative person, I mean, that's the thing. You can be like holy about your art and be like, I only do this one kind of art. That's great. But a lot of business people are quite creative. You have to solve a lot of stuff. You can have a vision for what you want it to be and look like. And that's really exciting. It actually satisfies a lot of those urges. Mm-hmm. And then when you go and like build how you're pitching it to people and building a team, and that's an interesting process. And I think that's why a lot of people get hooked into it. Not because they're like, oh, fuck, I got to do this. But they're excited by that side of it. And they end up being like, I can make this one piece of art, or I can actually make loads by proxy if I build something. I had a bit of a crisis of character last year. I'm like, I don't want to do that the whole time. I'd rather do the piece of individual art.
Yeah.
So that's why I think we're a bit different as a studio now. Rather stay smaller, less marketing, bring in people when we need to.
Well, yeah, we're lucky that you did kind of go through all that shit now, because now we can at least back it up.
Yeah.
And now we've got Hannah, your wife, who's like very good at like managing sort of stuff as well, which is like really good for us. So we can like, sometimes we don't really have to deal with clients or even chasing work. Like,
that's been great. Yeah. And she's like stepped into more of a role of handling some of that project management and also like finding some sales now, which is great. So I think, we're really lucky in that sense, because we can be baby boys just like working on our crayons and someone else goes and handles some of that business stuff.
Like, Mom, tell them to fuck off.
Yeah, exactly. We don't want to deal with them. But yeah, I mean, when you're starting a studio, it's you have to try everything, I think. And I think it's good for most people. I would recommend that most motion people at least have an experience of, like, whether you freelance for only a little bit or whatever, just have some of that experience, because you got to get out of your shell as well, You can't produce the best work the whole way through. You're going to end up like Van Gogh. You might have done great work, but you're going to get fucked on the whole way through your life, and then maybe it's good afterwards.
One ear, dude.
Yeah. Which is like, it's all great. Like, you'd be like, oh, I wish I could produce art that good, but for him, he's dead. It didn't fucking matter. He had a bad life, basically. It's, you want to have a good life for yourself. I'd rather enjoy my time here than make a masterpiece that I never get to experience the benefit of.
Yeah, true.
So there's something in it like that. Like, get out of your shell, get out there, market yourself, learn some of this business stuff so you don't get fucked on in your next job or whatever, and it's probably a good experience for you. Yeah. So I think some people, they get into this gig or a creative pursuit because they are just trying to make some personal masterpiece, and that's a bit of an ego trip. Yeah. Art is communication, basically.
Yes, exactly.
You're trying to connect with other people through this, or if it's really good art, it's kind of easing people's suffering. They might be worrying about something and they see it in some art and they kind of feel something more about their experience. That's it at its best, I think. But then that's why trash art sucks. Like, you see something where someone's obviously just phones it in and they think they're on trend or something, but they're not communicating anything to another human. And that's why it sucks, like dude on a bicycle. But that kind of shit, it's no good. Yeah, it should be for other people. You should want other people to experience it as well. It's meant to be a bit communal. So I think that's really interesting. Yeah. And I think too, like these days, a lot of the art we consume is basically, it's whatever's running through your Netflix or whatever, which you can put shit on, but there's obviously something that's engaging about that if it's bringing us back. So it's obviously talking about human stories or getting something out of it. Motion graphics is not art. Your animations that you do on your own are art, and that's great. It's not really about a career or starting a studio, though. Your motion graphics are about helping other clients. It's about helping other people. So if you go into that with mindset of, I want to go and find the people that really need my help and do good work for them, then that's what'll drive you to do good marketing. It'll drive you to make better promos and get out there in front of people and just do it, That's another major thing. I think if you're going to start a business, is you have to accept a lot of imperfection. And that was one of the best things I learned at my last job, which I didn't like the job. I didn't like the company. It was a startup, and startups do this really poorly. They do things half-assed because they're just trying to get it done quickly, and it can fucking hamstring them in the end. But if you're overly creative and perfectionist, you don't actually push out there to do something. So I think I probably lean too much towards just fucking throwing stuff out there and getting it done. And you need to have an actual, especially as you develop and mature, you need to stop and plan. But at those early days, you have to just start putting some imperfect things out there. It's important, I think.
Yeah, they're very true. Otherwise, I can just sit there and just like, nothing will ever be done.
Yeah, if you think I need to have the absolute perfect reel before I go and talk to anyone about trying to get motion graphics, you're not going to get the work to build that first reel.
Yeah.
So it's different now. Like you see some studios like Bullpen came out and they had a really good reel and really strong creative pieces out of the gate. I don't think, they're not like Buck or anything like that, but they did really good work and they're clearly very polished right away. But those two people that started that had been in the industry already for like 15 years.
Yeah, right.
So they'd already struggled through building up that stuff beforehand. If you're starting a little younger or, maybe you only had a few jobs and now you're going to start it, it's just accept your imperfection. You're going to build your studio over time. And we've gone through that many refreshes now.
Yeah.
And now we're finally looking like we're getting towards where we want to be. But we won't like it in a year anyway. We'll want to keep upgrading it.
That's the thing. I
Yeah.
don't think you'll ever be like content. I mean, the most thing I've ever been content for the longest about was our last reel.
Yeah.
Which I still love.
Yeah, it's great.
Surprising. Like I never thought, I would be ever happy with anything, which I rarely am.
Yeah.
On completion.
You are a perfectionist, I think.
Yeah.
Which is good. That's why you drive to do good work. But
Although,
that's your personality.
our last reel that we put out, still happy with it.
Yeah, that's
Which
great.
is surprising. So that's like, I'm really proud of that one.
Yeah, I think so. And that's what's funny is like you can't pick what's going to work. Like you didn't spend weeks and weeks on that reel. It's not why
Not
that
at
worked
all.
out well. Things were clicking over a course of a few days and you made something really nice. So it doesn't have to be, I think if you think, I need like a month to plan this perfect thing and do this all right, guess what? It'll be 2 years. You wouldn't have put it out and someone else will have put out something and gotten some work. So
Yeah.
just fucking do it.
In the same style you were going to do it. And now
Yeah.
everyone's doing that style and you're like, fuck, this shit's old now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you can perfect something that's now outdated.
Yeah.
Which is the cruel reality. I think, it is like a modern times thing. There's a lot of information that gets spread around really quickly now. So you have to accept it, that's just the culture now, is a bit of imperfection, get stuff out there. As you grow bigger, you have more resources to tighten stuff up. But
You're right. That's the culture now. Like shit is changing. People think they still have to do shit the same way, although you don't. You can't. Everything's changing.
Yeah.
In a way, like social media, just the frequency of how everything's put out. It's just like you have to just go with it. I mean, times are changing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the big launch project and everything like that is just it's not going to work. So, but yeah, kind of talked about the logistics of it and the accepting imperfection of it, and then final one, which is I think what I'm potentially the worst at thinking about is the actual. If you're in a spot where you're about to launch something, maybe consider what you want to build. I know that's crazy, but I just kind of started and I thought I want to get work and I want to support myself. That was my whole vision for it. I maybe had some big dreams of, I'd like to have an office with some other people that work with me. I didn't have a goal about maybe artistically what I want the studio to be. I didn't have any of that at the start. We've only addressed that now together. So we've only launched that part of the studio only very recently.
Yeah.
But I wish I'd thought about that a bit before. It would have saved me some time going down avenues I didn't care about. So like a bit of thought about your actual like mission. Why do a studio? There's other better studios. Why not go work for them?
Yeah.
What's the point of you existing? And I think we're going through that now, basically.
Well, that's a good tip. I mean, I wouldn't have thought about that either, really. You were like, I'd like to be in an office with some people, but what are we going to be doing?
Exactly. Foosball.
I'm thinking helicopter game.
I think now we've landed on, it doesn't have to be super rigid. I think for us as a studio, whether we've articulated this or not, is we are like an art-driven studio. We want to make stuff that looks good. And we actually care about the quality of the work. I've dealt with now a lot of businesses that are about our size, and they're a design agency or they're an animation agency, and it's a business.
Yeah.
And that was our big shift last year. It's like, no, we want to do good work. That's why you put together a good reel. That's why we care about stuff like our brand and our website, and now these personal projects. It matters to us.
Yeah.
It's more about having a good portfolio that we can be proud of one day.
Yeah, for sure.
Than just making the most amount of money from the biggest name clients. Big name clients can be fucking terrible. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So think what you want to do. We don't want to chase huge jobs. We'd rather pick like good stuff that we can get done ourselves and make beautiful work, I think.
That's it, man. And we said it like last episode about like if we were to do some like music video for some small band, if we could just make it super fucking dope. That's all I care about.
And that actually like really helped that band. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that'll mean something. Because I think, we can go for, I don't know, we worked for like big finance clients. That's been our niche for some reason for a long time. And they don't really care about your work. And if they give you their biggest possible job, it's a ball ache. And you're dealing with so many people that aren't artists and don't care about the piece either. They just don't want to get fired from their job.
Yeah, man.
So
that we had that kind of revelation yesterday, actually, when you just kind of figure out what this specific client wants, because we approach every project where we want to make it the best it can be, and be inspirational and put a story or a narrative behind it. Although some clients literally just want you to just be like, just say the fucking products. This is what it does.
Feature.
Yeah, just a shitty icon that bounces in. It's weird. It's like how they just want a video when they could just as easily have like a PowerPoint or like a couple of photos or like something like.
Yeah, if you smash the morph button on PowerPoint, it'll give them what they wanted.
Exactly.
But
which is fucked.
Yeah.
So we're kind of now like almost flagging clients. We have a few clients where they're a big client, but we know what they want now. And so we can knock that shit out real quick just because we know. We flagged them as this is what they like. Don't try too hard with the narrative here or over-the-top artwork. So...
And I think that's if you think about most people, a lot of people are in jobs they're not passionate about, especially when you're dealing with, like, if you're really creative, you got into this, you really care about it. There's a lot of people that ended up on the other management side of the job that maybe don't care about it that much. They're really worried about getting fired.
Yeah.
They're really worried about looking like a fool in front of someone. So they're going to make ultra safe decisions. What we want to chase, I think, is clients that actually are like, well, fuck it, I'm here. I should do something with my time. Let's make something that people might actually watch or actually care about.
Yeah.
That's the ideal work.
Yeah.
Whether it is, motionographer worthy, that doesn't really matter. It's more important about doing something that is actually interesting in some way. That's probably worth doing.
Honestly, a huge thing for me was, as bad as it is to say, like money.
Yeah.
We're lucky to be able to do this shit now because like we earn like enough money to be comfortable. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas like before, when you're starting the studio, obviously we weren't making real money at all and shit. So you kind of do have to set up this. If you're starting a studio, man, like get it to a point where you do have some clients that are always coming back and this and that before you can really take that leap into just really doing stuff that you want to do.
Yeah, that's true. Unless you've got like a really supportive parents that'll just throw money at you for like a long time.
I mean, yeah.
Like you got to go and get some work too. So that does make sense. Yeah. But I think it's all right to have that high goal at the start.
Yeah, for sure.
It'll probably drive you because you'd be surprised you do have spare time, even if you're busy trying to earn a living just to survive. You still have a bit of spare time where you can at least start putting the groundwork down for that stuff. Like write some scripts for some ideas of pieces you want to do for yourself, or think about, how do I make my website and my reel just look a little bit better than the people that are at my level. That's probably...
Yeah, I guess you really just got to throw yourself into it, fully.
Get into it. Yeah, it's a lot to take on. I think for us, it's good that, we're like a real two-person team with the management of this now. It means that I have half the client workload and we can actually bounce ideas off each other.
Yeah.
And butt heads, but make decisions. It's actually a lot better than just having to do all this on your own. So we'll just hug and then just end the episode. You know what I mean? Slap the thing out.
Yeah, okay. Should we wrap it up?
Yeah, let's wrap it up.
All right. So what do we usually say at every end episode, Miles?
Don't start a studio.